Welcome back to another episode of Game On. Kicking things off, we had Lorne defeat Illawarra Bay by 35 points in a rematch of last year's grand final. It only took the Dolphins a quarter to turn the game, going on an 8-goal blitz, 8-goal to 0 blitz, in the second term to have a 35-point lead at half-time, which was probably too much to make up there for the Bombers.
Yeah, the game was done at half-time, really. I mean, the Bombers outscored the Dolphins after half-time, but yeah, didn't equate to much. Fraser Balderas was everywhere. He was rucking, he was down back, and he even played on the ball at some stages. And Bryce Vincent, he said Fraser Balderas, he doesn't know who else would be the best player in the comp if it wasn't for him, which is a big call, but I think it'd be hard to argue with him after his start to the year.
Yeah, he's been incredible, hasn't he?
Yeah. And on the Illawarra side, Illawarra Biak coach Cam Parker said his side matched it with the reigning premier for 3 quarters of the game. But unfortunately didn't come through in the end, and Ben Bacon made his senior debut for the Bombers.
Birregurra put together its most complete performance of the season, defeating Otway by 75 points, and they're just really exciting to watch. The greatest improvers on the year. The victory is Birregurra's 4th in a row, moving them into 2nd place, Jamie.
Yeah, Demons were within 2 goals at quarter time, but a dominant second quarter condemned Otway to back-to-back defeats, unfortunately. Hard at it youngster Hamish Darrett was named the Saints' best player on the day. He's been utilised by Dave McNeil as a bit of a tagger to begin the season, but on the weekend he was given the green light to play freely, and he really impressed.
Yeah, and Dave McNeil said his side would enjoy a week off before facing Apollo Bay in a fortnight in Indigenous round match. Otway coach Shane Boynton, he said that his side just couldn't keep up with Bury's fast ball movement, and they also had a bit of a serious injury to Cam Hapgood, the key forward, with a dislocated elbow. So he went off early, and that was a big loss for the Demons.
Albion Simpson faced off on the weekend, with the Swans beating the Tigers by 114 points. Unfortunately, a hamstring injury to dangerous small forward Mitch Williamson and a broken foot for Tom Smith did put a dampener on the Swans' day out, but nonetheless, great result.
Yeah, and Albi co-coach Dom Dare, he rooted 4 goals for the Swans, and Sean Drayton, he also slotted 4 after playing a game in the reserve, so he backed it up and played 2 games and kicked 4 in the seniors.
Yeah, Simpson coach Damien Pemberton, he'd be disappointed with the result, but he said, Albi's ball movement was just too good for his side.
Colac Imperials were the biggest winner of this weekend's footy action with a 174-point win over Apollo Bay. Imps coach Bailey Scott said it was his side's best performance of the season. It was a really dominant display, and he was really impressed with how they went, Jamie.
Yeah, I mean, as you said, Luke, the Cats dominated from the start. They led by 41 points at the end of the first quarter. But they didn't stop there. They continued to kick goals throughout the game. Scott said that recruits Will Mackey and George Melville played their best games for the club.
Yeah, the Hawks will be disappointed again. They were held to just 9 points for the day, which is the club's lowest score since the scoreless game against Birregurra in 2023. Business continued as normal for South Colac as they were able to knock off the Western Eagles by 59 points. The Roos climb its way into the top 5 following the solid win.
Yeah, and it was only 4 goals separated the two sides at half-time, and Dan Casey thought his side were well and truly in the game, but he said that South's experienced stars like Brendan Monaghan, Liam Hammond and Adam Donoghue all stood up in that third quarter. South Colac booted 6 goals to none in the third term, and they opened up a lead which was just too much to make up for the Eagles.
Definitely, and former Eagles captain Callum Thompson notched his 250th game for the club. A strong performance featuring in the team's best players. Into CDFNL Netball now, and Albi got another win on the weekend against Simpson. The Tigers did leave 29-27 at the half, but a 17-11 third quarter for Albi gave the Swans the lead. The Tigers brought it back to a 1-goal difference with a 14-11 run in the fourth, but couldn't quite catch the Swans.
Yeah, Coach Emily Dinehaven said if you'd given her side another minute or two, she reckons they would have been able to come in and draw it. But it literally came down to the wire. Shelby Cameron played a full B grade game and then backed it up with 4 A grade quarters, jumping from goal defence to centre to wing attack. She was all over the court.
And Dinehaven said she knows that her team is facing a pretty tough month of netball coming up, but she's really pleased with how they're going so far and what progress they've made this season.
The Imps tick another box in season 2025, defeating Apollo Bay by 48 goals. Luke, Imps had it was the Imps' highest scoring game of the season, but Coach Chloe Gray, she highlighted the impact of defender Shay Danahy and said she's just been a quality player to start the season.
Yeah, and despite the loss for the Hawks, their coach Sophie Fletcher, she said that it was probably their team's best performance this year.
Yeah, to your point, Lou, Fletcher was really happy with the team's defensive work, turnovers in the game, and she thought that the attacking end had a bit more fluidity than in past weeks.
South Colac enjoyed a big win over the Western Eagles, 70-41. It makes it 3 from 4 now for the Roos, and they've climbed back into the top 5. Like the footballs, the netballs are also in the top 5.
Yeah. I mean, South's defensive pressure heading into the game was something that coach Kelsey Jeffries was really trying to instill in the team, and I think it paid off in the day. Western Eagles coach Siobhan Casey said we were challenged in our transition out of defence, and I think Jeffrey's plan came to fruition.
Yeah, Maggie Eldridge returned to the side after missing last round and scored 43 goals, but the service was plentiful. The Roos had 87 shot attempts, which is the most for their season.
Birregurra defeated Otway on the weekend, but one goal split the sides at half-time in favour of Birri at 23-22. For Otway, they had 3 double-digit goalers in Bianca Morrow, player coach Claire Robertson and Jane Robertson as well.
Yeah, and Birregurra coach Saskia Rowan said her side's problem-solving and composure was absolutely key in closing out the 49-43 win over Otway.
Yeah, and Otway 4-6 now, despite having the third best percentage in the comp. The Bombers retained top spot on the ladder with a 28-goal victory over Lorne. Jamie, what did you say?
Warra held the comp's leading scorer Sade Stafford to her lowest tally on the season with 29 goals on the day.
Yeah, and Bombers captain Rachel Seabright said young defender Emmy Frith had a solid game in defence, and her drive and intercepts made her for best on ground for Illawarra.
Now to the baseball. The Braves backed up last week's claim of potentially being the hottest team, and I would say definitely the hottest team now, after taking out second place East Belmont Saints 12-4 in Division 2. Unfortunately, the side was missing Clint Ayre Larkins and Matt Noonan, but the Braves managed to call on some help from Div 4 players in Darren Morrissey and Josh Balcom.
And heading into the game, the Saints had scored more and conceded the same amount as the Braves, but an all-round performance... A starring performance from player coach Brad Egan helped the Braves stay unbeaten.
Yep.
Egan went 3 from 4 from the batter's box with 2 RBIs and pitched all 7 innings for the Braves.
Yeah, 8 runs in the first 2 innings really set the stage for a dominant Colac performance. Kai Watts continued his good form with 4 RBIs from 2 hits, and Egan said that they're not relying on 1 to 2 players each week. Everyone's pitching in.
Yep.
And the Division 4 Braves also kept their win-loss record perfect with a 23-5 win over the Saints.
Yeah, the Braves had 18 hits as a team, but Dan Billings was a force to be reckoned with. He went 4 from 4 with the bat, bringing in 4 RBIs, and Kyle Morrissey stole 4 bases as well.
And a bit of a milestone upcoming this weekend, as Darren Morrissey will play his 400th game for the Braves.
Looking at some soccer news, the Rovers played off in a Rovers derby.
Yeah.
The senior side took on Rovers Green, and it was an impressive 7-0 win to the senior side. The match was a bit of an arm wrestle for the first half an hour, but a breakthrough strike from James Pajani broke the drought in the 33rd minute. Yeah,
and assistant coach Tom Davis, he finished with 2 goals for the senior side, while Pajani, Daniel Hegarty, Ian Hitchmer, Keith Marizzo and Jared Holt all scored 1 each. The Rovers senior side went through the grading games unbeaten with a stunning goal difference of 22 from their 3 matches.
Yeah, wow. Rovers Gold beat Deakin University 3-0 with Pedro Gomez scoring a brace, and Nono Costa also got on the score sheet for the side. Rovers women's team had a bye this week.
Now to the main event. Around 450 people packed into the Colac RSL to see hometown hero Andrew Sketch Clissold retain the King of Colac title. Sketch returned to the ring for the first time in almost 3 years to beat Jake Navarro.
Yeah, it's an incredible story too. Sketch was diagnosed with GBS in 2022, which left him partially paralysed for a few months there. And Sketch said he made a full recovery, but it was a long one, and it was rewarding to be back in the ring.
Yeah. And more exciting news on this front, wrestling will be back in Colac in November after the success of last weekend. In golf, Colac's women's pennant team suffered their first loss of the season, going down 2-3 to Kerr Lewis.
And the loss saw Colac drop to 2nd place, equal on points with Ocean Grove and Inverleigh.
Yeah, Colac will need to beat Inverleigh this weekend to book a spot in that grand final there.
Thanks for watching Game On, and a special shout out to Colac's Division 2 and Division 4 men's pennant golfers and Apollo Bay's Division 5 team in their grand finals this weekend.